Brushstrokers move in such different ways, so you have to understand that piece. But there's also certain principles that you have to have in the stroke, regardless of how they move. And so we're just going to kind of go through some of that. We'll talk to him, and what we're going to do is going to do the stroke at different speeds. We'll go at 115, then we'll go at 104, 110. Let's go 115, 104. We'll go 115, 104, and then we'll drop down into 59 pace and just see what we see, and we'll start breaking down different pieces that I think it doesn't matter how old the swimmer is, at what level they are, we can work on different pieces. All right? All right, so we'll get started. Wait, hold on. Let me get it down. All right. Boom. Get down to one. There we go. All right. So give me 20 strokes. All right. So there's a few things. He has good height. I think he has good feel in his stroke. But there are a couple things that I see even at this pace is, one, I'm looking at his feet, and the heels coming up take a long time. It doesn't matter if you're going fast or slow, but there's certain movements that have to happen quickly. I think in the kick, the heels have to move quickly, all right? And then the second thing is, if you look, his knees are moving outside. I mean, his knees are moving outside of his heels, so it makes it difficult to produce enough force to go forward and actually get something out of that kick. So much of the stroke and breaststroke is on the kick. So let's just focus on the kick first. So you do a great job at height, and you have a great feel up front, but the kick is moving a little too slow. Right? So we're going to keep it on this pace. And even though the kick is moving, even though we're at this pace, I want you to snap your heels up to your body as quick as possible. Right? See, the other piece is that your knees are outside of your heels, so you're kicking like that. That makes sense? So what you want to do is turn. So you want to turn your toes in before you bring your heels up. Okay? So we're going to work on trying to snap the heels up, right? And then we're going to work on trying to turn the toes in and bring the heels outside the knees. That takes a little bit longer to do, but we'll try. The thing we want to do in breaststroke is, the reason why the heels have to move and why we're working with the kick is because when the hands accelerate through the middle of the stroke, you don't have time to wait on the legs. Okay? When you're pulling and your hands are moving through, your velocity drops so quick, so you're just trying to get rid of that space where it's dead, where you're trying to wait on heels to come in and then move them out. So it's a common mistake that a lot of breaststrokers make. And then when we're trying to do work like this, we always try to get them, doesn't matter if they're kicking, if they're in warm-up, whatever, that the heels get up and disappear. That you're moving those heels up to your hips with just as much force as you're trying to kick out away from your hips. Does that make sense? All right, ready? So fast feet. Just focus on the tempo first. Bring the heels up and move. All right? Give me 20 strokes again. Ready? Go. Still a little too slow. Quicker. Jackson. Hold on. All right. So this is perfect. This is great. I think when you're working with swimmers, explaining and giving them a visual for how fast those feet need to move, because in their mind they may be moving them quicker, but they're not moving them fast enough. So it's almost like telling the swimmer, and you're making a change, to do it in a way that feels so uncomfortable. Like, because what I think everybody knows, when we try to make changes, sometimes swimmers push back against the change because it doesn't feel right. Right? And we're literally asking them to, like, if he's been swimming this way for a while in terms of the kick, we're asking him to change the way he walks, right? So what I want you to do is I want you to move your heels as fast as humanly possible up to your butt, right? And get rid of the kick. Faster than you think you should. Make it extreme, all right? Make sense? Go snap the hips, all right? Make sense? Let's go for it. Ready? Go. That's a little bit better. There we go. There's still a little bit of a pause. He's bringing his heels up quicker, but there's a little bit of a pause on the heels going on when he turns his heels out to push back. But that's better. You see that, the pause right here? Right? There's a little bit of pause. It's a little bit better. All right. Jackson. All right. Good work. That was better. That was good. That's good. All right. Keep moving on. Awesome. And so when we talk about kicking speed, we're also talking about tempo, right? These are one of the things that will help improve the tempo without rushing the stroke. And one of the things that we always used to talk about with tempo is you cannot skip a step in the process. The stroke has a sequence. Going faster doesn't mean you skip a step in the sequence. You still have to reach, you still have to catch, you still have to pull, accelerate through into your line, but you've got to work the kick. If the kick is not matching what the tempo is for the arms, you have a mismatch. The timing is off, and the body's not connected. So making sure the kick matches with the arm speed is important, right? You're trying to accelerate through the middle and shoot, and those hands should move. And so if if those heels are waiting or stopping, then it's an issue, all right? Here's the next thing. In his kick, we're pushing our hips back, all right? Let me stand on this side. And the kick, he's kind of pushing his hips back to bring his knees up, and he wants to stay flat and bring the heels to his hips, all right? As opposed to punching in this way to kick. You just make yourself smaller. So let the water almost pass underneath you. So what I want you to do when you bring your hips up is bring your heels up, keep your hips nice and still, but snap the feet up and get rid of the kick. That's the thing that we used to try to do is like your kick should move like this. It should move, you should get up and go because you're trying to get into the most efficient position in breaststroke, which is in a line. So anything you do to disturb the line, anything you do that delays you getting into a straight line, eyes down, extend it out into a line, that's terrible for the stroke, right? So you're always trying to reset to get back into the line. And as we're talking about tempo, it's so important that you don't shorten the line. Does that make sense? So it's like you want to get into the line, you want to be fast, but you have to snap into that line as quickly as possible. So what I want you to do in this, I still want you to do the kick. Don't even worry about the efficiency of the kick. We'll get that. But get your heels up and get rid of them. All right? As fast as you can go. We're here and you're thinking a little bit, and then you're pushing back. I just want you to get your heels up and move. Right? Because we can work on efficiency. Sometimes if you just get the movement, then you can work on efficiency. So you can let's get the movement right, what the rhythm of the stroke should be, and then we can start working on okay, let's get the tempo down, let's get the catch and the feel of the kick, and then you start putting it together through the season. That's one of the things why we do a lot of part swimming in breaststroke. Work the kick, work the pull. We'll drill, start putting it together, right? So let's see the 20 strokes again. And it's harder to do this at a slow pace, but you've got to be able to control your body and control the stroke. That's why we're doing it at this pace, okay? So let me see it again. This time, again, try to keep your hips still. Bring your heels in and get rid of it as quickly as you can, okay? Ready? And go. Good. It's better. And I think if we increase the pace, it'll be even better. But this is what has to happen. And if you can work on speed of the heels and work on efficiency of the kick, that's so much of what the stroke is, right? And making it to a point where anytime you're doing breaststroke kick, breaststroke drill, breaststroke anything that involves a kick, that those heels are moving at the right pace. All right, Jackson, awesome. Good, thank you. Give him a round of applause. Good. All right. Awesome. All right. So now we're going to work on the front, right? On the front end. In the stroke, if you were looking, you see where his hands are pulling, and then he's kind of bringing his elbows way back behind his chest. So we want to keep the elbows in front a little bit. Here is fine, but if we're getting here, we're losing a lot. All right? So And the thing about breaststroke pull is there are a lot of different pulls. So it just depends on who you are. Some people pull here and try to get a catch up front really quick. Some people sweep out and they sweep in. All right. So what we're going to focus on. I wish we had a noodle. Do we have a noodle? No, we don't. All right. We don't have a noodle. What we would do, one of the things in working on the pull, and this is great for swimmers that are 7 and swimmers that are 27, is if you put a noodle underneath your underarms and you can put a pull buoy on and just have them hit the pull. That way the noodle keeps them from pulling those elbows back. And you can be it's a simple thing where you don't have to talk a lot. You can just have them do 25s or 50s, pull with the noodle on, and that way they just lay flat and they keep the elbows in front of them, right? So what I want you to do, first I just want you to do, so what we do to try to correct the pull pattern to keep the elbows in front is we'll go through a progression of drills, all right? So what I want you to do first is you're going to do front sculpt, all right? And I'm going to slow this down a little bit. 115 is pretty fast. All right. There we go. All right. Do you know what front skull is? That's windshield wiper. Or it might be front skull for you. Front skull just gets out here. All right. You can kick a little bit because you got something coming against you. All right. So this is the first part. We're just breaking the pull into parts. All right. So let me see you front skull for 20 skulls. Okay. Ready? Go. You can put your head down some. Put your head down. Stretch your arms out straight. All right, hold on, Jackson. Hey, all right, look. So that was my fault. I didn't explain it clearly. We're gonna do a different type of front sculpt, right? Instead of here, I want you to do what the front of the stroke would look like. You're here when you start. So I want you to press out and come in. Reach, press out and come in, because that's the stroke, right? Reach, press out and come back in. Do that. So we're going to work on the front of the stroke, we'll work the middle of the stroke, and then we'll work the full-on stroke. Does that make sense? All right, so extend out, reach, extend out, get your head down, press out, come back, extend and reach, okay? Ready? Go. Good. So if we can break the stroke up into how you start, you get to focus on like the front part, which is extension. A lot of times there's a tendency, especially for younger breaststrokers, to rush through the middle, so they never get a line. So it's about extending and then pressing out, as opposed to stopping here and not having that line. Because you're creating leverage with that first portion of the stroke, and if the hands go out and the shoulders break, you lose all your leverage, right? Awesome. Thank you, sir. Good job, man. All right, next piece. Good. All right, so next piece what we're going to do is windshield wiper drill, okay? And so the middle of the stroke, where the hands have to move from the out sweep to the in sweep coming in, all right? And again, there are many ways to do pull, but this is what we're doing for this particular, for this demo, right? What I want you to do is put your elbows, and for windshield wiper drill, using a snorkel is fine, but pull buoy and paddles, you can play with the size of paddles, but you want to have the swimmer lay flat and push the elbows above the shoulders, right? So we're not here doing this because we don't pull breaststroke that way. But when we out sweep and get ready to in sweep, the elbows are above the shoulders, they're in front of the shoulders. So this is where we want the skull to happen, not back here. And that's the thing where in these drills that you're teaching, do it in 25s. If you have enough coaches on both sides, because if you get this drill right, then it changes how they can move in the pull. It's much easier to do that. But what you'll see is swimmers try to go fast in a drill, and they're just like this, scurrying, trying to go fast. And so the main thing is, these drills are not meant to go fast in the drill. It's just meant for the movement and the position of the hands and the arms for when you're doing the drill. So what I want you to do is, you get in the water, push your elbows above your shoulders, and what you're going to do, and the way we do the drill, There's no resistance going out, right? Because you're not swimming breaststroke like this. So you're going to slide the hands out pinky first, and to work on setting the catch, you're going to turn the pinkies in and come in this way. And then slide them back out. No resistance going in, but work on setting the catch and feeling the movement here, which is where you're going to feel the catch. All right, does that make sense? All right, let's see. So, hold on. Let me go a little bit slower. All right, there we go. All right, so take your time. Again, look, Jackson, push your elbows in front of your shoulders. All right, ready, and go. Oh, that's good. That is really good. This is what we want to see, all right? And so if you look at that movement, that's sort of the initial pull before the elbows slam into the chest. And you want those elbows, keep going, I'm sorry, I wish I had a stroke before you, don't. Push your elbows up. And so this is perfect because, lay flat. There you go. Good. And so if you have younger swimmers, it's okay if they do this against the wall, right? So instead of waiting, because, all right, Jackson, you're good. You've been holding your breath. Awesome. Thank you. If you can do this with younger swimmers with a pool buoy where they're facing the wall, so that if you have 4 or 5 coaches and you have 30 kids trying to learn breaststroke pull or this drill, you don't have to wait a full 25 and yell across the pool. So you can just sort of, if you have 10 kids in the water and their head is against the wall and they're sculling with a little bit of a kick, they're stationary, you can just make the adjustments right there by reaching in. So you can get to 30 kids as opposed to waiting. How long does it take for a 9-year-old to scull across the 25-yard pool? Probably like a minute, right? So you can get to each one a lot quicker. That was awesome. All right. So the next piece is actually, do you have any pool buoys? I should have brought pools. Awesome. You got a pool. You got a pool. All right. So on the pool buoy, now what we're doing is you're going to do chair pull. All right. So you're going to put the pool buoy on, and in chair pull, there's a little bit of a tilt, and you bring your knees up to your chest and leaning a little bit. Okay? And so the trick is you're putting the first 2 drills together where you're extending out, pressing, sweeping in, and then because you're in a chair pull, there's going to be 2 things that give you the effect. You have to anchor the fingertips down because in breaststroke you're trying to bring your center of gravity forward. That's what the hands going down do, right? But the other thing is with chair pull, it's an easy way for us to keep you from doing this. The pull is in front of you. So the only thing that I'd say is like, hey, keep your elbows in front of you on the chair pull. So the other piece is if you're doing the chair pull, there's going to be a tendency to do this, right? Again, it's not about how fast you're moving, and you're going to have to slow your swimmers down, as you already know, in drills. They want to compete. Have them go slow. So the drill has to be extend, reach, hold for a little bit, so pull, and bring your hands in. Right? Pull, bring your hands in. Keep your elbows in front of you. Instead of doing this, there's going to be a tendency to want to do that. And the reason why is we're trying to keep the elbow almost still. When we press out, there's leverage. The hands squeeze in, you bring your elbows to your chest. If your hands go out and do this, you've lost your leverage. All right? So it's about getting out and then setting the catch. But if you get out and do this, it's gone. So you have to keep your swimmers from this motion. All right? You lose it. All right? You see what I'm saying? Like you're sitting in a chair, lean forward. All right? You do the stroke. I think this might be even too fast. Come on. There we go. All right, we are. All right, you got it now. All right, let's see it. So we're going to try to do breaststroke pull, knees up, lean forward, lean forward. Bring your heels underneath your butt. Heels underneath your butt, heels underneath your butt. All right, reach. Give me the full stroke. Reach, extend. There you go. Keep the elbows in front. Good. Elbows in front. Good. Squeeze your elbows to your body, though. Good. Good. Now we're setting the catch. Now our hands are in front of us. We're digging, and that's what we tell everybody, like dig. Reach out, dig. Set the catch may be too much it's too abstract for anyone, even for older swimmers. Like when we used to teach freestyle, we would say to our lessons kids is dig for gold, paint the rainbow. Dig for gold, paint the rainbow. That really doesn't change when swimmers get older because you're trying to put a concept, a picture in their brain. So he's killing it. Good, let me see it again. Good. Good. All right. He's a quick learner. His dad is up there filming. All right, awesome, Jackson. Good. Now, what that does too is that technique can also impact tempo. So if you're pressing out and you're not doing this and bring your elbows back, you're more efficient by moving into your stroke, getting into your lines. All right. So what you're going to do now, we're not going to go to full stroke. We're going to go 3 kicks, 1 pull. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit, before we move right into the stroke, we'll hit 3 kicks, 1 pull. And so timing and breaststroke is everything. And what this does is it allows him to work on setting the kick, setting the line, and then delivering that aggressive stroke, getting the hands out in front of him and getting into that line. You have to slow the stroke down before you have to slow it down and still chop it up before you put it together again, right? And what I would do after this is we would put fins on and we would do sort of a longer swim, especially great if there's long course, because if it's not long course, you get 150 yards, and have them doing 3 kicks, 1 pull, 2 kicks, 1 pull, 1 kick, 1 pull, just going through that cycle again, because what will happen is you got to give them room to work it, and give them room to get reps in and get into that line, and you'll start to feel it. And that's just a process you repeat every week and a couple times a week. So let's see 2 kicks, 1 pull, but I really want you to focus on really extending the line, okay? And then set up the catch. Don't rush the pull starting out. I mean, that's the other thing too, is we want him to move his hands quickly, but he's learning the new movement, so we can't just go hardcore, right? So do the movement right. I want you to get into a line, do the movement right, but I want you to snap your heels. Does that make sense? All right, you got it? We good? No, we're going to go up. All right, we'll get down. That's good. All right, let's see. Yep. Good. The pull is better. The kick is a little bit better. He still has it bringing his knees underneath him, but this is progress. So what we will have to work on eventually. Good job, dude. Awesome work. Good pull. Good. So his pull looks better. His feet are moving quicker, but it's going to take time to work on fast feet, right? And sometimes we'll just work it by doing, okay, let's hit 3 kicks as fast as you can go, breaststroke kicks. All right, so that's something that you work on, right? Something else is something to really think about. I think a mistake that Nick made a lot of times was he would finish his kick and the surface of the water was here, but his feet were down here. So he was kicking and then creating all this drag with his legs, so it's hitting his thighs, his shins, his feet. So when eventually you get to a point, I think he's done a lot today, that's awesome, but getting to a point where you can finish the kick and squeeze the glutes a little bit to lift the legs, right? So that you can move in your line. And the quicker you can do all that, coordinate that movement, and get into a line, the faster you are, right? The less you're working against yourself, right? Let's say water's 773 times denser than air. So a mistake like that where the heels or the feet are too low, you pay for it, right? You can get away with it a lot in short course, right? But even the better ones in short course that can lift those legs and be in a line, they have the advantage. It'll show up at the end of the race, right? If you're swimming long course, you definitely will pay for it. Because that length, you don't have the reset at 25, you don't have the pull out and the streamline and more speed. So the efficiency has to be there, all right? So let's see it again. What I want you to do, same drill. And let's go a little bit slower. There we go. Let's go 2 kicks, 1 pull. But focus on your line, all right? And when I say line, make sure your heels are closer to the surface. Okay? Ready? Go. Good. 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 All right. Awesome. Oh, sorry. I'm going the wrong way. My bad. Sorry, Jackson. All right. Awesome work. Good work. So, give him a round of applause. What we couldn't get to today is the timing of how the hands shoot out. He did a great job at setting the catch, and there's a lot in a half hour, and really what we would do is even break down the kick for a good 10 or 15, 20 minutes. Get that movement right, video, have them watch, and then move on to the next piece. So he did an awesome job today, like working on kick, working the pull. Job, dude. Awesome. So I think the one thing is, as if we have more time, is the hands move in, and you have to get rid of the hands, right? It's making sure you're not diving down. I think there was a video that kind of explained it well with Joseph Nagy, where he talked about as you extend, you're kind of lifting, so you're not driving the hands down. You're lifting a little bit to get into a line, right? And I would say like one of the best to do it to get in the line, Adam Peaty, but Kitajima, phenomenal, right? Phenomenal. Like his line is so clean. And then in terms of like the timing of it, I love Rebecca Sony's stroke. Like it's just so efficient and aggressive, and it's so well timed, so well coordinated. Probably one of my favorite strokes. So that's it. Thank y'all.